Some of you have been asking about modules, so I'm going to record what I hope will be a quick orientation. Canvas modules are organizational tools. Think of them as binders, folders, or depending on your era, maybe you remember the Trapper Keeper. Modules can be big or small, and they can be any combination of pages, discussions, assignments, quizzes, and there's no magic recipe or formula. They can be big or small, all pages, any combination. Modules might represent a day, a week, a topic, a lesson, a unit, or maybe a chapter in a textbook. And they're organizational tools. I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again. When you delete a module, you are only deleting the binder itself, not the contents. And we're going to jump over to Canvas here so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's just sort of a schematic or diagram, just pointing out some of the things, what's happening when we set module requirements. You may have noticed on Canvas in your backyard, I had emojis next to module titles. Certainly not required, but it's something that I like to do just as a visual cue for kids or adults. I'm sorry, all learners. I think emojis can be really helpful that way. They point people in the right direction. On the far right, it says module. It will say complete all items or complete one of these items, depending on how you set up the module. So right here, it tells me complete all items. You see the little red dot right here tells me if I was in this module that I have not yet completed everything. And then below that is the green check that tells me when I've completed something. And these round clear circles say has yet to be completed. And that was the question I had from several of you was, hey, how do I create this checklist for my students as well? On the far left side, you can see there's this sort of a legend, or these little pictures mean stuff. This means a page, assignment, discussion, quiz, page. I'll say it again. A module can be any combination of those items. It can be small and tiny, or it can be a great big module. And then when you set requirements, you will see that it will tell you exactly what to do to get that green check mark and to hit your module requirements. So like I said, I'm going to jump over to Canvas in a moment, but just to point out a couple things, what we'll do is we'll build the module and then add, and then take a look at these requirements. So this is where I added emoji. You have the option to lock until if you don't want that module to open until a certain date and time. You are only able to set module requirements for items that are in that module, and your requirement options will look different depending on the type of item. Once you've set the requirements, what you will do is you will, I apologize, this arrow is pointing to the wrong thing. You will go to view progress to see exactly where your students are with completing the modules. Okay, so let's jump over to Canvas. I am in Canvas in your backyard 3, which is now an improved version of Canvas in your backyard 2. And you will see I'm looking at the student view. So you will notice module 1 is grayed out because it has a prerequisite here. If you see the little apple, prerequisite says welcome, meaning I cannot even open module 2 until I complete the module above it. Now you will see this welcome module, complete all items, it's incomplete. I have a check mark for pressing that, or sorry, for viewing the course welcome. So the requirement was to view the page. And then the second requirement was to submit this little pre-assessment. And the pre-assessment asks, respond with an emoji that describes how you are feeling about Canvas right now. So submit assignment. And maybe it's a silly face, maybe it's a cool guy face, maybe it's a sad face, maybe it's a sarcastic face. That was the requirement to submit the assignment. Oh, and then you see the little confetti comes down. So now when I go back to modules, you will see that I have all green check marks because I've completed the requirements. I've viewed the page and I've submitted assessment. And by completing that module, I've now opened the second module because I hit the prerequisite and did those requirements. And so I now have a new checklist. By now, you've all experienced this and you want to know how to do it yourselves. Okay, so I'm going to leave student view. These are modules. So hopefully you can see on this recording that there's this grayed out section right here, and that's the module title. And across from it, I hit the plus sign, and I can pop anything into this module. So actually, you know what? I'm going to do a practice one. I'll do it at the bottom here. Okay, so that's the module name, the folder name, the binder name. I'm going to add items to my module by pressing the plus sign, and maybe it's a page. Maybe I'm going to add a discussion. Maybe an assignment. And a quiz. Okay, and I'll say it again. There's no magic formula or recipe. It's any combination of items, Canvas items, and a module can be small or big. So now across from, I hope that you see, so practice module is the name of my module. Now first let me point out, I can delete this module and I've only deleted the folder. I haven't deleted the contents in it, and that's important. Modules are purely organizational. They're not the building blocks of Canvas. They're folders, or they're binders, or they're bundles. So across from practice module, I'm going to click edit. And like I said, I like to put little little emojis in to give the learners a cue. Now you're not, when you're building Canvas, you're on a laptop. So the shortcut is Control Command Space. Control Command Space. Modules not required, but I like to add them. I'm pro emoji. Lock until. So you can choose that, because you're still going to publish your module, but maybe you want to release it at a certain time. So I can think of a couple examples. One is guest teacher plans. So you've built the module, you don't want your students to access it until Thursday morning at 8 a.m. You might click lock until Thursday, 8 a.m. and they won't be able to touch anything until 8 a.m. on Thursday. A second reason would be if you are in a remote learning environment and maybe your team is collaborating and you have stuff planned out for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you don't want them to access the end of the week materials at the beginning of the week, you might lock a module per day. So you maybe pre-built it the week before or over the weekend, and you're just releasing the modules at certain points. The third reason would be maybe if you're in a pure online environment where maybe you've built way far out, where everything's built within the course, but you don't want them your students to interact with something because maybe they don't have the background knowledge, or maybe you haven't sufficiently explained the contents or what you want them to do. So you might lock until a certain time. Okay, that's lock until. Prerequisites. That's what you experience. Meaning you could not jump around those modules. You had to put them in a specific order. Next would be requirements. and I think the page is a certain way right now where I'm not adding prerequisites, but I promise you it's very straightforward. So prerequisites, I think that's something to do with my screen right now, but I apologize. I know it will work for you. You click the prerequisite and you'll have a choice of modules. What is it that you need to complete first before moving on to your module? And then this bottom part is add requirements. So your two choices are complete all requirements or 2, complete one of these requirements. Now, one of these requirements is probably, we were talking about like true personalized learning. And I'm still learning how to accomplish that, and I'm not there yet. So that's where we're providing, a ton of choice and, process and product and pathways. And so you might just ask them to do one of the requirements. The way I use modules is typically I'm asking people to do everything. So I've chosen students must complete all of these requirements. And then you will see the choices for the items in the module. So let me back up. When I'm in the module and I'm building the module, I'm going to see content from the whole course. But when I'm adding module requirements, I'm only going to see items that are in the module. So for a page, I have a couple choices. Am I going to give them a green check mark just for opening the page? Do I want them to take it a step further and mark as done? Or this third one is where you would make a page, you can make it so that all your kids can edit the same page. Now, I don't have any examples I can think of people who've tried this here in Noblesville, but that would be like maybe where everyone's working on a collective bibliography. So more than likely, you want to give them a check mark for viewing the page or marking it as done. Okay, so the next one is a discussion. Do you want to give them a check mark just for opening the discussion? For submitting to the discussion? Or score at least would be as if you were grading it and they couldn't move on until you gave them sufficient points. Okay, this next one is an assignment. Same thing. Give them a check mark for viewing, marking as done, submitting the assignment, or scoring at least. I'll do submit the assignment. And then the fourth item is a quiz. And this is where you might say you're going to have to score at least. So, I do like 4 question, 5 question quizzes. I may say you have to have a 4 out of 5 before, moving on. And then I click update module. You will see now the complete all items. You can see my little legend. It tells me exactly what's in it. Pages, discussion, assignment, quiz. It tells me in these gray letters exactly what to do. Mark, done, submit, score at least 4 out of 5. And then when I'm in the student view is where I'm going to be told, or I'm going to see the circle, the white circles, and I'm going to try to get those green check marks. Okay, so before I sign off, I like to say that module requirements, I think, are beneficial to all learners. So yes, we have our kids that they're like Pigpen, right? Or their desk is a mess, their assignment notebook is a mess, and so they benefit from having this really clear picture of what to do first, next, and then next after that. But also remember that you have your other students, sort of another group of students that are your task-oriented, rule-following kids who take great pleasure in checking things off a checklist. How many of you love to put things on a to-do list just to mark it off, or to put it on a Post-it note just so you can rip it up? So I always like to say that module requirements really can be beneficial to all of your learners. And especially if we find ourselves in a situation where we are returning to remote learning, they can really help map out or create this nice picture for your families of what's expected. I hope this video is helpful and that you end up loving Canvas modules as much as I do. Thanks.